When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Let's talk about yesterday's absolute shit show. A 6-1 battering at the hands of Spurs. I went back and watched the first half today, and I can't really say much words more than to start with Harry Maguire. The Discord live started late, and by the time it popped up, Bruno was taking the penalty. So I only saw the foul for the penalty today. So I thought, okay, that's good. We've got an early goal now. We can just shithouse it, grab a 1-1 draw, or maybe a sneaky 1-0 win. Let's break down the goals. So the first goal, what I remember, the ball comes into the box. Maguire heads it purposely in Bailly's direction, who's not very far from him. Bailly's kind of like stunned, and his reaction is he heads it, and he just kind of heads it generally into the air. And then he goes to head it again, and he doesn't get any real purchase on it. Cool. Now, Maguire, the ball comes into Maguire's vicinity, and then he goes to head it. They call him slabhead, yeah? And I assume that's because he has a big head, but I also assume that's because he has good headers. Haven't seen much of it for us. But he tries to, and I can only imagine that he was nervous about putting too much power in the header back to De Gea, that he tried to make it so soft that, again, it didn't get any purchase. Then it kind of goes to the general vicinity of Luke Shaw. He then proceeds to hold Luke Shaw, drag Luke Shaw to the ground. Luke Shaw kind of still gets some connection on the ball. It bubbles, and then Ndombele comes in and he smashes it in with his left foot through Maguire's legs. What the hell? What went on for that first goal? Is Harry Maguire the only person to blame? Should Bailly have done better there? What are you guys' thoughts for that first one? I'm loving the way you're drinking that Coca-Cola, Danny. Loving it, mate. Go on.
I think Bailly can do a bit better, but being put in that position in the first place is just ridiculous. I don't understand why Maguire headed it with that much power to someone that's right next to you and then expect them to deal with it. But Bailly can do better. But even then, it's at a point where when Bailly has those two headers, Maguire can head it back to the goalkeeper and it's dealt with. And he fucks that up. Then he proceeds to pull Shaw down, and then he fucks up the clearance, and it goes to Ndombele, and it deflects. The worst thing is that people don't talk about the fact that he deflects it away from De Gea as well. So he generally caused everything in that goal. Like, generally, any person who was involved in that goal that could have dealt with it, he negatively affected them.
It's like a double agent.
A transcendent error-prone goal. The second goal now, Spurs are now a bit buoyed because they're able to score basically straight away. And so they're getting a bit of a purchase on the ball, zipping it around a bit. So they get the ball up to Harry Kane, by the way, who had a masterclass. Get the ball up to Harry Kane. He turns Maguire. Maguire fouls him. A couple of things happen here. When he fouls him and Kane's getting up, Son starts moving from being wide on the left to the central area. So from the right hand side of Bailly to the left hand side of Bailly. Secondly, Harry Maguire steps away from the ball as Kane is getting up, and then thirdly, that then gives, and then I guess a combination of those two things that have happened then gives Kane an angle to play a pass through to Son, who's already he's already ready to go, and he just leaves Bailly and Shaw, two pretty nippy players, and it's an excellent finish. So again, let's go back to those catalogue of errors. Bailly just letting Son walk into an advantageous situation. Maguire not doing what you always do when you give away a free kick like that, which you stand on the ball. And I was saying on the main pod yesterday, if you're a real shithouser, you kick it like 5 yards away, which then gives your team time to get back into shape. But he just lets him have it. So again, yes, it was Maguire's fault, but Bailly, we have to look at him as well, I think, for letting Son just go free.
The thing is with that goal that really pissed me off is there's one thing I hate about defenders, and I really hate it, and it's when they don't pass on their man. Maguire's left centre back, and he has followed Kane to like the right DM part of the pitch, and that's the reason why that gap is there. And I don't understand why defenders do it. I don't understand why defenders just follow. They don't pass on men, and there's just no organisation. The fact that he's pulled out there, and then there's massive gap, and then Shaw and Baye just don't react quick enough. Like when, like you're supposed to react when things happen, and you could just tell that they were just rattled from conceding that goal. They were just absolutely rattled.
It was a proper punch in the mouth, like, or
Bro.
even punch in the mouth, punch in the nose, punch in the throat, whatever you want to call it. One of those ones that just stuns you, and now you're kind of recovering, and then that gives your opponent the opportunity to just.
They were just absolutely rattled, and there was no one there to calm them down. But it's still no excuse. Baye should react quicker. I think if he just senses a bit quicker, he still challenges Son. I think the space that is there, I don't think like you can close that, because Maguire is the left centre back. And the fact that there's a massive space in between Shaw and Baye, there shouldn't be a space between Shaw and Baye. You should pass on your man to your midfielder so they're dealt with by Kane. But I mean, it's just like even Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, they're right next to it and they don't stand on it. I mean, we're not mentally there, and it just shows in those small moments. Like when we talk about Southampton conceding in the last minute, Chelsea conceding in the last minute of the first half in the FA Cup semi-final but when Baye goes off and we're a bit rattled. Sevilla just it's just we're a pathetic team mentally, really, and that just shows it. But
shows it time and time again.
What else can you say about that goal?
So Danny and Stevie. So then we have a bit of play where it's 2-1.
I will say I didn't watch it.
Okay, that's cool. You'll get your update from us.
I went for a roast. I was eating veg. I walked over too many grids and saw too many magpies like before 4:30, so I was like, nah, I don't fancy it,
And then you're probably right. And so at 2-1, the game's kind of going end to end. We actually sustain a bit of pressure in their half. From one of those moments of pressure, though, they do play a big ball over the top to Son, and we're lucky he kind of miscontrols it, and De Gea is able to scoop it. Yeah,
Maguire is not there,
Yeah, nowhere to be seen. In that period, we do get into some decent positions. I think is that the period where Rashford does hit the post from the offside pass from Bruno, but it shows that at 2-1, it's still very much a game. We then, I don't know if it was a corner or free kick now.
It
was a corner. Lamela hits Martial. Martial hits him back, and Lamela, true intelligent cunt, as Jose Mourinho said, falls down as if he's been stabbed. The ref sees the second part from the looks of things, and he sends off Martial. For you, Stevie, a couple of things. A, how they're not checking VAR, and B, was Martial silly to even flick out at him in the first place, and C, and Sebi said this on yesterday's pod, in those situations, you either like just go mad and like kick him, like do a keno and stamp on his foot or whatever, or you fall like Lamela did, but you don't do what Martial did, which is just like a petulant flick. What are your thoughts on those three points?
You know what? Yeah, it was probably a good thing Martial got sent off, because that kind of, it didn't really take the gloss off Spurs' win, but it kind of gives Ole a slight excuse, because even though you said at 2-1 we were still in the game, we were well on our way to getting packed. So 11 men or 10 men, I still think that score would have been pretty disgraceful. In terms of what Martial done, I was like, obviously when it's happened, I'm stunned, but I guess by the letter of the law, if you kind of flick your hand out at someone, then like you're putting yourself in danger. So really, like, he shouldn't be responding. But then also, like, football's got to look at itself and like where it's going. And I just think like we've gone too far. Like sometimes apply some common sense. Obviously, Lamella's kind of lashed out at Martial, and sometimes it's just reflex. Like if a man's coming to get at you, then you're gonna do something back. I don't think this is what you'd call, like, that's what they define as violent conduct in any other walk of life. That's not football. Like if you like hit a man, barely brush a man's face, that's not violent conduct. So I think obviously by the letter of the law it's a red, but in my eyes I just think it's a bit too harsh, and it kind of it definitely takes the game away from us. And obviously Martial now he might be out for 3 games, which is an even bigger problem. So yeah, that's my take on it.
What's your take on it? And then third goal. So now we're at a man down, and we're still trying to play out the back. And one thing that Spurs did really well was that when we did our half-hearted press, and at times it ended up being decent, they played it over the top. Well, obviously, when you press, you do leave holes in your team. So they're finding 3 men. And Aurier, what's wrong with Luke Shaw? Why does he tuck in so much? Anyway, yeah.
Do you know what? That was a problem we had in the game after restart as well. The problem is that
right, he always tucks in so much. I don't get it.
But I think it's just a thing where he's just scared of Maguire getting skinned. I genuinely think he's scared of Maguire getting skinned, because Shaw did tuck in a lot before, and whenever he would go out to a fullback, he'll go out slowly. I remember there was a Watford game we lost 3-1, and I think Jose said that Shaw didn't go out to press for the third goal or whatever. But I've never seen him do it this much before. It's ridiculous. But the thing that exacerbates it even more is the fact that our centre mids can't cover it, and we tell our wingers to stay up the pitch. So we generally, the right back has the freedom of the pitch. And it's just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So they were playing out of our half-hearted press pretty well. Sometimes they just play through it, and other times they just play over the top.
I think that was a fourth goal. The third goal was the Bailly mistake.
No, yeah, I'm just talking about pressing generally. I'm getting to Bailly. You know, don't worry, I ain't forgotten that one.
Yeah.
So now we're 10 men down. We're 10 men, 1 man down. And we decide to play out the back, which we don't do well even when we have 11 men. And in this scenario, we've got Harry Kane, Son, and Ndombele in and around our 18-yard box, basically. So De Gea gives it to Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly still has time to look up. He decides to give it to Nemanja Matic, who Mr. Turns like a truck. Turns into Ndombele. Ndombele takes the ball off him. The ball gets to Heung-min Son, and then he just squares it to Harry Kane, and then Harry Kane makes it 3-1. Maguire's mistakes for the first one was ridiculous. Like you said, Elijah, he negatively influenced everything that led to a goal. That's unprecedented, I think, in one goal. The second goal was mistakes from multiple people. But there's something special about what Bailly, and I guess DDG for even passing it to him, did. There's something special about how does your head contrive to do that in that situation? How does that come to you and think, I should give it to Matic when there are 2 players within 5 to 10 yards of him, and there's a third player who's lurking and is pretty close to me? What was he thinking?
Do you know what? I remember the Southampton game, and I said when De Gea passed that ball to Pogba, I said De Gea has to take part of blame for that, because I don't want my DMs picking it up in that space when there's a press on. And it's the same thing. I don't understand why Bailly would pass it to Matic there. I even watched the freeze frame again. Play the ball out to Wan-Bissaka. I know we're going to lose the ball anyway, but we're going to lose it in a much better area that's not going to lead directly to a goal. And the thing is that with the other 2, Bailly has parts to play in it, but it's not like he even if he done a bit better, that goal still might happen. That third goal was just him being fucking stupid, and that's the thing that frustrates everyone, because it's the fact that he will get these chances. He might play well for a bit, then we'll have one really bad stinker, and it will make a manager not trust him, because it will have something like the game away against the Brighton. There's the Newcastle game. There's the PSG game. There's this Tottenham game where you cannot, with how much he plays, you can't have those stinkers and play 5 or 10 games a season, because that's just too much. And of course, you're going to need consistency. Of course, you're going to need to play through it. But at the end of the day, no one is inspiring confidence, and you can't be that bad. You need to come in, do your job properly, and just when Bailly is rattled, he's one of the worst players in the world, and we have too many of the players. You can see when when everything's not nice, we're fucking awful. Pogba's probably the worst of it. Pogba and Bailly, when they're rattled, they're not football players anymore. They are just kids on the playground who don't know how to play football. And that's what that was. That just stunk of someone so rattled and with just a child's mentality. I see Matic there. I see it, but I just want to get rid of it because I'm nervous. He just passed the matches and it just all turned into chaos. Like, just no, even me who loves Bayern as much like stuff like that, you can't do it. It's painful. Like you just it. And the fact of the matter is, he's probably going to get dropped for the next game, and he can have no complaints. And the fact is, we're going to go back to centre back pairing that is just awful. That can't deal with pace. And even there were even in between the second and third goal, there were times where he was basically doing blocks by himself.
There was times when he was playing out of a press and bringing the ball up and then distributing it well. Like we were talking about in the chat, we know about his attributes at this point, but these numbskull moments, combined with the injuries, which a lot of the time he causes himself, just mean that you can see why a manager wouldn't trust him. I think the only hope he has is that because they're going away on international break, Ollie has some time to calm down and be like, you know what? Yes, he was poor, but Lindelof and Maguire, there's no world that Lindelof and Maguire are ever going to be a sustainable centre-back pairing. No. There is a world where Bailly and Maguire can maybe be solid, and so I'm hoping that the time where they're away allows Ollie to gather his thoughts, really. Stevie, are you still with us?
Bro, I'm here.
You look depressed, bro.
I was just thinking, do you think that's a reason partly maybe they might have signed Cavani is because instead of passing it to Bailly there, De Gea can just ping it?
But De Gea can't ping anyway. But
someone can ping it though.
But
there's someone up there to win a header.
I feel like I even feel like Martial, even when we do ping it, he's not as bad aerially as people say he is. I think like he can win a few headers. I feel like it's very silly, and even then, ping it into channels. We have Rashford, you know, like
yeah.
It's not a thing of where we have slow, small players. There are quick players up top, and even Bruno can shift a bit. So it doesn't make any sense to me. That playing out the back makes sense because you draw teams onto you, then you ping it. That's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do, because then the space that they create means that you don't necessarily need your guy to be good in the air because you're just playing it into a dangerous area. And
Exactly.
like you say, a Rashford can chase it. And again, another thing I noticed is that when Spurs did win it, even if they didn't win the first ball, they made sure they won that second ball.
Second ball.
It comes down.
Yeah,
Oh, that's just basic.
I think that's what Ollie might be thinking, though. It wouldn't surprise me knowing Ollie.
No. It's true because I think that's why he bought Igalo as well.
Yeah, I think we've obviously playing out the back. I think we just have like a real problem in our team. Like we have, like our players have a real inability to keep the ball. Like, so when we're playing out from the back, if you look at like Maguire and Lindelof I think is even better on the ball than Maguire. Like Maguire, we spent 80 million on him, and as soon as he gets pressed, he loses the ball when he tries to play it out. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not a footballer. So when you're actually looking, like if Lindelof looking for someone to pass it to, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a non-option. Like sometimes I even see Bruno get the ball, look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's like, nah, not right. Matic is slow on the turn. Luke Shaw, I don't really rate him on the ball as well. And even like going forward, I don't think like Rashford is the safest on the ball as well. Like he's a high risk kind of player. And then Bruno is obviously, we know is pass accuracy, completion. So I just think in us trying to play out the back, we lose the ball so easily that there's no semblance of an idea or a plan. And obviously Solskjaer is not implementing that either. So we're just inviting trouble onto ourselves, and it results in stupidity like what Bailly did.
So shit.
Oh, shit.
Our most
I felt
technically
that.
player.
Did you say Kwasia at the end there, Stevie?
Right, I definitely didn't, but I could.
Our most technically secure player is probably Martial, you know? Like he's the one I trust to go into and just keep the ball. And even him recently, he's not been good.
And Mata. he doesn't
Mata
play.
is really, and you know what? It's so funny. That Brighton game, it just made me think. Imagine we had a player like Mata who's younger and was just better.
Just a younger Matter, basically.
Nah. Do you know what? Me personally, I think Mata is more of a final third player. I feel like someone just like a Grealish, just someone that can come on and he can just keep the ball
like
with
Van de
retention.
Beek. Like Van de Beek.
Might be.
Van der Beek, for me, his best thing is that he's great off the ball.
The ball, yeah.
But even him, he's actually decent technically, and he's not risky. He'll keep it safe. But someone like Mata, it was weird. It was like a breath of fresh air. Just seeing, wow, there's actually players in our squad that aren't like dumb. It's just crazy that with like even Pogba, it's becoming pathetic at this point. You're actually 27 years old, bro.
Yeah.
Let's grow up.
I forget the exact scenario which the fourth came across. But I feel like, what did we turn it? We probably turned it over. I think we turned it over in the middle, and Aurier, like he had that space the whole first half. Your mate Luke Shaw's tucked in again. So this time they find him. And this is where I talk about us not having athletic players, because it's the lumberjack Harry Maguire who decides to go out to him. In that, it seems like he points to Shaw to go to Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's on the edge of the box. The problem being, though, where Shaw was or was going to be, was cutting out the pass that he made for Son. So Shaw vacates that space, he was going into that space. He vacates that space to go and cover Harry Kane, because you don't want Harry Kane to get the ball in and around the 18-yard box. But what you actually see is that, I know he's not the best at coming back, but Pogba was already like lumbering back anyway. So if he had played the pass to Harry Kane, you're hoping that Pogba's there to at least bother him a bit. But Shaw goes to Kane, doesn't get anywhere near him, because then Aurier just plays it through Maguire's legs, and then Son gets the goal to make it 4-1. And that's your first half there. So again, we have to. Sure, people in the comments are saying it's by design. You think it's because he's scared of leaving Maguire out on his own. But it's like there's just constant confusion and chaos. Like the minute that, like, when you talk about good low block compact defending, you talk about a team like Atletico Madrid, and it's about constantly shuttling across as a team and cutting off spaces. So yes, we could give you that whole right hand side, but the minute that pass is going towards the right, we're already shuffling along. So the space that was there when the pass was originally made is no longer there anymore. Instead, we will watch the ball go all the way to that side and say, you know what? I should probably go out to him, And then the person who goes out is Harry Maguire, who's as slow as a truck, a fridge, whatever you want to call him. And he doesn't get any time that puts any pressure on Aurier. Aurier has time to stop, look up. Son and somebody else, was it Lamela? They had two guys who were basically there ready to tap that ball in. And yeah, what do you expect the DDG to do at this point in his career? And they made it 4-1. To be honest, it was a game at 3-1, but just to compound it, it was then finished off to be made 4-1. They then scored.
Crazy?
Yeah, what's crazy?
It's the fact that Maguire and Shaw didn't look behind him once.
Bruv, remember that goal Sevilla scored?
Yeah.
Bruv, hey, like, what's going on? We're conceding the same goals again and again.
The thing is, the thing I really like about Maguire this season is the fact that he's doing the same mistakes that he done last season. So I remember on the first goal versus Palace, I think for the first goal versus Chelsea in the semi-final, he doesn't look behind him and he doesn't cut the cross out on the first goal. That's the same thing versus Palace. People are complaining. He's done that mistake before. Sevilla versus Tottenham, he goes out to Aurier, doesn't look back behind him, and does cut a cross out. Same thing he does versus Sevilla. He's making the same mistakes he was making before.
This is scary. Like, for me, what I was saying in the chat earlier is like, obviously, like we said, Ollie probably his ceiling is a coach for the strikers, a coach for the attackers, who comes in and just this is what I learned being a deadly finisher during my days. Looking at our defenders, specifically our centre backs, they need a coach, and you hope that's what our coaches do. But they need a coach who's a top player who's played in their position. And listen, it's gonna, like, for example, I think of somebody like Rio, but for Rio it was easy because Rio was always at least almost as fast as the striker, probably as strong, very comfortable in the ball. So even trying to relate to these guys, inferior beings, will be difficult for him. But there's just some fundamental mistakes you do not make as a defender, and something is not happening. They're making the same fundamental mistakes game in, game out. Like, we get, like, our defenders are not necessarily the best individually, but you see in world football, in football in general, that if you're able to have a well-constructed defensive unit and everybody is able to play to a competent standard, and you can cut out individual errors, you can mitigate these mistakes. And we're conceding the same sloppy goals again and again and again and again and again. And I that goes to the coaches now, because I'm seeing the players make the same mistakes. Why is that not being cut out? Why are we seeing the same things happen?
Well, do you know what the thing is? What defender doesn't just scan the pitch? I like that. That is correct. Like, Maguire and Shaw did not look behind them once. You know,
that's just normal football. Like, schoolboy, this is how you play football. Like,
bro,
you look around to see what's happening.
To where the goal is. They didn't even look to where the goal is. Where, oh, hold on, if he passes to Kane, he's still further away from goal than Son and Lamella behind me, who are close to it. That's just football sense. I don't understand. They didn't look behind them once, and that is just scary to me. Like, that's playground football. You focus on the ball, and what you can see peripheral vision. You don't scan behind you. That is awful. It is horrendous. Like, that goal was so bad. Even Bailly, I feel like he could have got to the near post quicker. But you know what? At that point, the fact that Shaw went out and then he doesn't know what to do, there's players around him, I can sort of understand it. But Maguire and Shaw, actually criminal.
Rattled me still. So then we come out.
That's the worst goal of the six by far.
Yeah, I just been on mute, just watching that goal again and again and again. That is abysmal. That's
one of the worst goals we've ever conceded in my lifetime. I cannot believe that two Premier League defenders that earn as much as the hair, by the way, both of them together earn as much as the hair. Just to put that out there, just to show how much our goalkeeper earns.
Fam,
they did not look behind them once. That's just football. Look behind you. That's just simple football. Wow. That is one of the worst goals I've ever seen. Like,
Elijah, let's cut the recording here, man. This is
we're almost done.
This is mad.
Maguire's worse than Lindelof. Lindelof doesn't make that mistake. I actually feel at this point, Maguire is the defender of all our defenders that needs to be dropped.
Yeah.
I feel like
no.
He's the worst. He's the worst of the three. Like, Lindelof has his limitations physically, but there's the dumb mistakes Bayern makes. Lindelof doesn't make them. Like, his issue is that he's getting out strength, he's getting out pace. Those are his physical limitations that he can do nothing about. But I guarantee you, if Bailly comes out the way Maguire comes out for Aurier, he gets to him and he either concedes the penalty, or
that is off his head.
He could hit the penalty, or he blocks the cross in. And Lindelof is not making the fundamental mistake of telling his left back to go out to Harry Kane when the other team has two attackers who are stealing in at the near post. Like, Harry Maguire's influence is cataclysmic. Like, he's shit within himself. Yeah, that's cool. I'm shit. But then it spills to the other players because he carries himself like he's this leader, and the guys in the defense seem to like look to him as some sort of leader. So then he has them making mistakes of his own accord. Shaw went out because Maguire told him to go out. He's an idiot for not checking either, but he just did what he was told to do, like assuming that maybe he's thinking Maguire's checked. So if Maguire's telling me to go out, I should go out. I don't need to check because my captain's told me to go out to the man that's over there, and it's Harry Kane. But yeah, no, you're making Shaw look even worse because we're watching it and it looks like, where's Shaw going? Like, why has he left the 6-yard box to go out to Harry Kane when there's two men in the 6-yard box? And you look, and I see Harry Maguire's pointing at Harry Kane. So yeah, we go in for half time. Bruno gets hooked. There are rumours as to why we won't speak on that. and Matic gets hooked. We bring on Fred and McTominay. Fuck it. You know that picture with that vid with the baby eating the chicken wings and the milk. Fuck it. Fuck it. Like, if we're gonna go down, let's just go down. Like, you get me? So we sub Bruno, we sub Matic. What formation did we come out in? It was Pogba on the left, middle wing things. I'm not sure.
4-4-1. It was 4-4-1.
Okay, cool. And that's Rashford in the middle, Pogba on the left.
Yeah.
Who was on the right? Greenwood. Greenwood was okay when we had 11 men, funnily enough. This is the first game in a while I've seen him actually pop off some shots, because teams are just kind of like doubling it up on him and just cutting off his left foot now.
I feel so sorry for Greenwood, because it's not his position. He's playing in a crap team. And I feel like we don't utilize him enough. We don't pass him enough. We focus on the left hand side.
Agreed.
And then, to be fair, I realised that he has Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
So they don't pass Wan-Bissaka.
So then Greenwood doesn't get enough of the
so
ball.
It makes sense, but yeah, I feel sorry for him.
He needs
touches, I really do.
He needs touches. He needs reps. So we try that. Again, the fifth goal comes across along. Aurier finally gets his goal after being 3 down that side the whole game. Just remind me, was it Harry? Was it Paul Pogba who committed the foul for the penalty?
Yeah. So even on the fifth goal, that thing I was talking about with Maguire earlier about Kane, about players pass. The reason why there's that gap there is because Shaw goes to Lucas, because Lucas goes into that middle wing position, and Shaw just goes to him, doesn't pass him on. That leaves the space for Aurier to run into, and then Pogba doesn't track him, and then he's just there. Pogba gets to late and he scores. And then Pogba, because the thing is, Pogba, the first half wasn't good, but he wasn't horrendous. That second half is one of the most pathetic performances I've seen from a football player in my life.
These three games, Palace, Brighton, and Spurs are, you could say, they're 3 of his 5 worst performances.
One of them was Southampton as well, just before the.
Do you know what? Southampton and West Ham. Wow, he was horrendous in those as well. Like, he has been shocking since Aston Villa, and people are asking for him to get dropped. I genuinely wouldn't even care. I genuinely don't care. It's just he has been pathetic, and that the reason why it was so pathetic against Spurs is the fact that it's the same thing we talk about all the time. When he's having a bad game, he just becomes a child. Like, bro, you're about to turn 28 in February, bro. Like, come on. Like, 28, and you're playing. Like, when I saw the second half, I thought this was a 19-year-old. Greenwood is more mature in dire situations than Pogba is right now. He that's why I'm so surprised that he brought off Bruno and Matic, because Bruno and Matic are the only 2 players where I feel like in the bad performance they can lose in the right way. Like, it's weird to say, but even Liverpool, when they lost versus Aston Villa, they lost in a way that just wasn't as disgraceful as we did.
They didn't like just bend over, whatever analogy you want to use, like to crawl and let the opposition walk all over.
Spurs beat us up. Spurs beat us up. Like, with Aston Villa, it was just like they just exploited a weakness Liverpool had time and time again. Spurs beat us up in every single aspect of football you could possibly imagine. Mentally, physically, technically, tactically, they bossed us. And Pogba, that second half, was the prime example of just a pathetic performance. Pathetic. It was just a pathetic player. That tackle, I saw it coming a mile off, and I said,
he tried it against Brighton. We got away.
Can't be that dumb. You can't be that dumb to slide in.
What was he thinking?
You cannot do that at this point. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. With Paul Pogba, it has to be reverse racism. If Pogba
was now, yeah, either he goes or I do.
Yeah,
either he goes or I fucking do.
Bro,
at the end of this season, only one of us is still going to be connected to Manchester United Football Club.
I'm Team Souness at the minute, because
I was about to say that. I was about to say, you know what? I want to see what Souness is about to, because I'm waiting.
Souness had the foresight. I'm telling you, if Pogba was white, he'd have no fans whatsoever. Yeah. At 100 million, we have to start inquesting into this guy's career at Man United because he's leveling off with Maguire now. This guy put in one good performance against Man City where he got a header or something.
He didn't even play well.
Bro, he wasn't even good that game, you know. He wasn't even good that game.
He didn't even play well.
Fam, the guy, like you said, Elijah, the guy is 28. He's about to turn 28. Yeah. What is this guy doing on the football pitch? Fam, he's a Volta football player. Fam, like professional football, 11 aside, 90 minutes. This guy has a real inability to stamp his authority on the game, like game after game. And he gets to the big matches, yeah, and he's not leveled. And in fact, the guy's he's a damn disgrace. Fam, that slide tackle. Fam, I would that's you.
Joe, do you know what the maddest thing is about Pogba? Yeah, I don't ask him to be this controlling midfielder. I don't ask him to score so many goals. What I ask is that you make the center of your pitch your own. And I've seen him do it before, and I'm like, just do it more consistently. And he just floats, and he just floats, and it's like, when you do your job properly, you're such an incredible player, and he can win us games by himself, on his own when he plays properly. But it's
I don't even know what that means, Elijah, anymore. When you say when he plays properly,
Joe, I mean when, for example, when we're 2-0 down versus Newcastle, and he's basically playing centre backs, DM, and centre mid by himself, and he's controlling the football match, and he basically takes us up the pitch by himself. But even then, I'm like, you shouldn't have to do that. But just playing simple, quickly. When you receive the ball with your back to goal, don't try and turn out when you don't know what's behind you. Just play it back. Just play it simple. And then when you get to the middle third, dominate. Dominate physically, play it quickly, transition quickly. In the final third, you have that. The thing is, he has everything you need for the final third. The small little steps, the cute passes. That place is fine, but he's not in that final third anymore. So I'm seeing him in the center of the pitch, just not dominating, and then in build up, he's just stupid. Like, it's just annoying. Like, all this time I've been saying, Pogba, just be box to box, free reign, and just try to just dominate one part of the pitch, just the center of the pitch. I don't want you picking it up off the centre backs. I don't want you in the final for just waiting there like a dickhead, because he's shit there as well. Just go, just do that, man. It's getting pathetic now. Like, yeah, he really needs to look at himself and just realize he's a grown man. He's a grown man he's an actual leader. De Gea, Maguire, and Pogba, they all need to look at themselves and realize that they're just leading this team to asunder. Like, I think
Pogba is. I think that's the issue. Is that I think he's better when, like at Juve, when he had all those old guys around him.
Yeah,
but pointing at him, telling him where to go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Pirlo controlled the game. Marchisio Vidal were the madmen who got up and down the pitch, and
Pogba behind him.
Pogba was the star. Pogba was the stardust.
But it's weird because with France, it's like he's not the stardust for France, though.
He's not, but I think he has a safety net at France, and I think if he is going through and maybe he's more confident for France as well. Like, he doesn't feel that same. He doesn't feel that same pressure.
France haven't paid 100 mil.
Yeah, not even 100 mil. It's the lack of quality around me. If I don't do it, yeah. Who is gonna do it? Because we can talk about Bruno being quality, but his execution is poor. His execution is poor. So maybe every time he puts on that United shirt and every time he steps on the pitch for us, the pressure in it, because we know he loves the club. I don't know how he feels about us now, but there was a time he loved the club and he badly wanted to do well here. Maybe that pressure that he puts on himself to perform is overwhelming, and I think that even feeds it into the whole, when he has a bad game, instead of taking it easy and letting the game come to him, he then forces it and he feels he has to do even more, because he's looking around like, if I'm having a bad game, we're not going to win. So now I have to make up for those two bad things I did by doing one amazing thing, and then you end up doing that amazing thing bad. Now you've done three bad things, and then the fourth bad thing, and then you've got to then he's back in his own head. Now he can't even control the football anymore. And like when he's bad and like his touch is gone and he can't even pass it 5 yards and like, yeah. And I think maybe that's it. Like the pressure of playing for us in this team with this pressure week in, week out, game in, game out is too much for him. And that's fine. I understand. I don't know how many players would be able to stand up under that pressure and that scrutiny.
Do you know what's mad? I remember a youth player saying that Pogba actually tells the players, I don't care what is around me. If I ask for the ball, pass me the ball. Like, because I will take care of it. I will take it up the pitch. I will go past players. And that pressure he puts on himself, it's dumb, but it's understandable because we are a poor team. We are actually a very bad team. Like, up until the final third, we are a horrible football team. Like, we're just disgraceful. And even in the final third, it's just vibes. And that's what it is. It's just, you know what? We've got players that are good technically. So if you just put them all around together, they'll create something, which is basically our first goal. Our first goal is basically a combination play of Bruno and Martial. And that's it.
Yeah, facts.
When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.